You're listening to The Roots, a podcast from Minnesota AMA District 23 ARMCA. I'm your host, Jackie Reese. Let's dive deeper into what makes our district so great. Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of The Roots. Thank you so much for joining us so far. And if you could do us a big favor, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. Right now, we have a social media giveaway going on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram page, where if you subscribe to our YouTube channel by May 18th, you'll be entered to win $200 in flybucks. Now, what are flybucks? They are basically cash that you can use with fly racing. So make sure to check out our social media at D23ARMCA. Now, let's get into episode 5 with the teenage Hillclimb star, Bodee O'Neill. Welcome, everybody, to episode 5 of The Roots. I am joined today by Bodee O'Neill, hill climber and District 23 ARMCA member. Bodee, how's it going?
It's going great. How about you?
Good, thanks. So 2020 was an awesome year for you. I got to feature you in our 2020 yearbook. How was it from your perspective?
2020 was an interesting year when COVID came, and it started out kind of slow, but it gave my dad and I a chance to get everything ready for the races. And my first race was in Hickston, and we showed good results there, and we moved to nationals in Ohio, and we did really good there, and it was a really fun year. We got to try a few different things. Um, yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Awesome. So you won at the Grand National Championships. You won multiple classes last year to add up to your total of 17 amateur national championships, which is so awesome. Um, which championship out of all those 17 meant the most to you?
Um, I thought it was pretty interesting and really cool to win the 600 class. My dad, he and Kirk Mueller built 500, 1998 steel frame. Not a lot of guys have those kind of bikes around anymore, so it meant a lot to win it on an older bike.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Is that of all the bikes that you race, for people who may not be familiar with hill climb, you race anything from a 250 to that 600. Which of those bikes was your favorite? Is it that 600?
My favorite bike is probably my 450. It's modded, not stock, and it's got obviously a long swing arm on it. That's probably my most reliable bike I can be the most consistent on. So that's probably my favorite bike.
Cool. And one of the classes that you won last year at the national championships was Verticross. Now, I'm not a hill climber myself, but for people who may not be familiar with that either, what is Verticross compared to the other classes?
So they start out with either a 16 man or more bracket. Um, and it's based off of how fast you go in the first rounds sometimes. And then you face off to an opponent. And if you beat them, you go on to the next. And it cancels itself out till you race to the finals. So you keep beating people out until it's just you and another person going. And then you're crowned Verticross champion. This last year, I got to race my best friend in the last race of the event. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. How did you guys feel lining up next to each other?
They actually walked around with a microphone and talked to both of us before we went up, and it was pretty funny. And uh, after getting to ride with them all the time, it was kind of just like we were back at the track at home. So
That's awesome. So, in comparison to a normal race, you're battling right next to somebody else, whereas in the other classes, you're racing alone. So, how does your racing mentality change when you are side by side with someone going up that hill?
when you first start, you have to be a little bit more aggressive. And when you first start on a regular hill climb, it's basically whenever you like when you want to go. So on this, you have to be prepared and be really ready because if you don't really get the start, the whole hill is free to go wherever you want to go for the opponent. They can cut you off or do whatever they need to do to win. So you have to be a little bit more aggressive, and you try to ride clean, but you have to do what you have to do to win.
Right. And what are your some of your tactics, to get to the top step of the podium?
I try to, well, it really helps because my dad sets up all my equipment really great. And then from then on, it's up to me. I try to get myself prepared and really focused in. I try to be aggressive. I'd say more aggressive than most riders, or at least I try to be. And then uh, from then on, it's just go as fast as I can.
So you've talked quite a bit about your dad. How has your family as a whole impacted your racing growing up?
My mom and dad work a lot, put in a lot of time and effort to just for me to go racing. My brother used to race as well. He won a few championships. But usually my dad, he puts in a lot of effort to the bikes, and my mom puts a lot of her money into it that she could be doing other things, but she wants to support my racing, which means a lot to me. Um, we we try our best to get the very best things that we can, the best equipment, try to get the best gear I can, get the best sponsors. My dad does everything on my bikes, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you guys get to travel to all the races together too?
So my mom likes to stay home because she's got her horses and we got animals that she really loves to take care of. She does come to some of them, but a lot of them my dad usually drives and or we go with other people, but usually it's my dad and I. Sometimes my mom comes with, which is fun too. So,
What's your favorite part about traveling together?
um, my dad likes to listen to music, so he cranks up the radio really loud and we can sing. Sometimes we get really tired. It gets to be long rides home and we sing really loud. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it sounds like good times. Um, so, looking ahead to your career and looking back on it too, who has really inspired you to get to where you're at and where you want to go in the future?
When I first started, I wasn't super motivated, and then I went on to the 85 class, and I started getting invited by Logan Spall to go riding places. He basically would pick me up, and we would go to Meadow Valley and Arkansas, his house, my house, and he basically showed me the roots of racing and taught me a lot of stuff I know now. And I still watch him, and he's an incredible rider. And there's also a lot of other people around here like the Prebes and Logan Peterson and Joel Foldy. But Logan Spall was a big factor in helping me to where I am now.
That's awesome. Yeah, we got talked to Logan in episode 2, and he has a great story as well. So it's awesome to see that he's giving back to the future of the hill climb community here in Minnesota. So we talked a little bit earlier, and you mentioned that you have done some hair scramble racing. Why does that interest you, and why is it fun for you?
I got introduced to hair scramble on 50s, but I never really got the chance to do it. And then I have a few buddies like Logan Kiddock, who's really fast on a dirt bike. He showed he kind of showed me what it's all about at his house when I went to a training school by him. And then I tried a few about 2 years ago, and I really like it because it's kind of a training for hill climb. Obviously, it's a lot longer than hill climb, but it's a lot of fun and it's a challenge.
That's awesome. Um, so even though you've branched out and you've tried other disciplines of motorcycling, why do you keep coming back to hill climb and why do you love it so much?
The people at the races are really nice. They care. If you break down, they're always there to help. I really like standing on the hill to help the little kids because they're the future of how it goes. And people it kind of seems boring from when you're watching it sometimes from other people's perspective, like motocross. But if anybody ever wants to come out and try it, it's a great time, and the stories you get out of it, and going fast and the adrenaline rush. That's why I like it.
Going fast, and you've definitely got the going fast part down.
Thank you.
uh, what does it mean to you to be a part of Minnesota AMA District 23 ARMCA?
When you go out to like nationals, um, I think almost everybody knows that the District 23 crew is there. It's a pretty big deal. We usually sweep a lot of the classes. I don't think we lose very many classes, and it's a really big deal because we have a lot of great riders coming out of Minnesota and District 23, and really fast and actually really respectful people too.
Why do you think um, District 23 produces so many fast racers like that?
I think it's because people are so around here really, um, I don't know how to put it. Everybody wants to win around here, but everybody's like family around here because it's pretty close. People are close together, and we have a big track like Millville that everybody knows about, and just a lot of people want to be at the top step, but also people are really nice about it and respectful about it.
For sure. You talked about loving to help the little kids on the hill. What advice do you have for younger racers?
Never give up no matter what the circumstance is. Just keep pushing yourself, and don't make it a job, and don't make it all serious. Have fun and hang out with your friends when you can, and when it's race day, just go for it.
Awesome. Um, is there an example of a time when you didn't give up, where you had to persevere when you were racing?
The other weekend I actually went the wrong way and at the hair scramble, and I ran out of gas for about, I don't know how long it was, but I was gonna get DQ'd anyway, but I decided I pushed my bike for, I don't know, a good 20 minutes, just pushing it up and down hills with no gas.
Oh my goodness. That, yeah, that when you start pushing the bike, that is true dedication to the race. That's awesome. Um, to round out this podcast, what does your future look like in hill climb racing? When are you going pro? Because I know that is probably something people have asked you a bunch, but um, what's the plans?
So you can go as a provisional license, which you can race a few AMA pro races and then still stay to do nationals. And that's what I'd like to do this year because it's in Bay City, which is 5 minutes from my house. And then I could do that again next year if I would like to. And then after that, I'd have to go full to AMA pro, but I could still race district hill climbs around here, which is always competition. There's really fast people around here, and it's always fun to be around everybody. Um, there's also Moto Climb Super Series, which doesn't affect me if I go pro. I can always race that and then still race District 23. So probably go fully pro in a year or two, but this year I can run a few provisionals, so that's the plan.
That's awesome. Well, we'll be watching you. Best of luck this summer, and thank you so much, Bodee.
Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And thank you, everybody else, for tuning in to episode 5 of The Roots. We will see you in 2 Mondays. Thanks for joining us. Catch us every other Monday wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on our YouTube page.